Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Today I'll be working on restoring this Game Boy. I know in the past I've had a couple with vertical lines, so I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. This Game Boy is pretty yellow. You can see that there's some white spots. I don't know if they put like stickers or something. I don't know what happened there. But you can see that the condition of this Game Boy is pretty bad in terms of the coloring. So we're going to be working on restoring this. So I have in the past restored a couple of yellowing, and I'll kind of go through that and just show you how I do it. But let's go ahead and see what additional issues this has. I haven't looked at it in a while, so let's go ahead and see what's wrong with this Game Boy. Looks like there's a vertical line issue, and the contrast wheel seems to be messing up. You can see kind of flickering in and out. Test this out again. Not sure why I didn't read it. Yeah, it's not wanting to pick it up. So there might be an issue with the cartridge reader as well. I might go ahead and put a little bit of alcohol in here so I can clean the pins. Then we're just going to slide it in a few times. Okay, looks like it read at that time. The volume seems to be okay. It's just this contrast wheel is looking pretty bad. And then, of course, we have the vertical line issues once again on the right. So let's first work on opening this up and revealing what's inside and taking a look at that contrast wheel. We'll just try to give it a little clean first, but let's go ahead and get started on this piece. We're gonna wanna use a tri-wing size 0 on these to remove these 6 screws. All right, once all the screws have been removed, we simply want to lift this gently. Now there is a ribbon cable that's attached between the top and the bottom, and if you pull it too hard, you risk damaging that cable, and you're gonna have other issues. So let's go ahead and just lift this gently. So looking at this, we can see that this is the top housing. The contrast wheel is right here. We don't know if this is damaged yet. Well, one thing we can do is go ahead and try to clean this portion and see if that fixes that. I'm gonna go ahead and first put back the batteries, and the reason for this is that I want to see if I'm making any progress on that particular contrast wheel. So I am gonna have to power this on and off, and additionally for the vertical line fix, I am gonna have to leave this connected. That way I can see the display and correct the lines. If you've seen some of my other videos, I've shown a lot of that in the past, but for this case, I want to see the contrast wheel to see if we're going to fix anything on here, and I don't want to be removing and adding the batteries. All right, guys, so what we're going to want to do is remove all the screws, and these are denoted by the circles here. So they're easy to put back once you're done with this. Just make sure that you don't get your screws mixed up, but we're going to go ahead and just remove this so we can have access to the display. And from there, we're also going to be able to see the backside of this particular contrast wheel and try to clean some of those contacts and see if that fixes our issue. If that does not happen to fix our issue, then we're simply going to have to go replace this. I do have a donor board that is going to be used to properly replace this. Now, I don't know if this is particularly the issue, but my guess just at looking at that, it looks like this could be the issue. So let's go ahead and get this board removed. Once all the screws have been removed, we're going to want to lift the board from the housing. This is from the display side. So we're going to just be gentle with it. Just be sure that there's no screws that are still holding it down. Let's go ahead and looks like it came out there. All right, so now we lift it off, and I'm going to move this to the side. Let's take a look at our board here. All right, so now that we have access to the contrast wheel, we have these 4 points right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. This is what is holding down this piece. But before we even try to attempt to remove this, we're just gonna go ahead and put some IPA and some compressed air to blow inside of this to see if maybe that cleans it out. If that happens to correct the contact issue that we're having here with the contrast wheel, then we can go ahead and say that this is fixed. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and replace this with one from a donor board. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now for this, I'm using 99% isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and just pour a little bit of that inside and then just kind of move the wheel, and then also use compressed air to dry that out and also blow any debris that's inside out of the contacts. So let's go ahead and do that. Also, be sure that whenever you're putting alcohol in here, try to use the highest percentage of the alcohol content that you can. I use 99%, you can use 91%, but nonetheless, there are two things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to make sure that the Game Boy is off. That's to reduce any issue in damaging the board. And of course, just make sure that the alcohol is dried out. That way, if you have some lower concentration, it's not in there and causing any rust or issues. So you want to make sure that it's completely dried out as well. All right, so I'm gonna blow this with some compressed air. I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So let's go ahead and test this and see if that fixed it. I think the battery's not making good contact. There we go. It looks to have fixed it. Doesn't seem to be going in and out constantly. I think that looks pretty good, but nonetheless, I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm actually pretty good with the results that came out of this, but I'm gonna put a little bit more alcohol and make sure that it's cleaned out, and then once again blow it with some compressed air. This way we make sure that the contrast wheel is actually cleaned off. I'm not satisfied normally when I just do it once, so let's do it twice just to be sure. It looks like it's working, so that's good news for us. So I'll be right back real quick. All right, so I'm back, and let's go ahead and test it one more time and see how everything looks. And that is looking actually really good. Now, I noticed that here on the camera, you can actually see the refresh rate, and whenever it hits kind of like some darker areas, it tends to look darker on the camera, but here it's actually looking really good from my perspective. I don't know if that's just the camera or what's going on, but it doesn't seem to be doing that anymore where it kind of goes in and out on the contrast. So I think we're good on the contrast wheel. The next thing we're gonna wanna fix is the LCD vertical lines. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this little rubber strip and then apply some heat in the contacts along the ribbon. And so here we're gonna just use 550 degrees Fahrenheit on the solder and just gently tap around these areas that are impacted to restore the lines back into the display. So let's go ahead and get that started. I'm gonna heat up my soldering iron to 550 as I'm removing this. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now, in order to get under here, you're gonna wanna use like a wedging tool. So I just have something, this is pretty thin as you can see. I'm just gonna get under it in here. Just gonna be gentle. There we go. Once I'm in there, I'm just gonna go ahead and go along this strip. Okay, I can simply just pull it off. All right, and on these pieces here, let me move this off camera for a second. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this junk. This is just adhesive. We're gonna wanna replace that anyway. Also on here, you can get rid of this adhesive because it's just gonna be in the way, and whenever we're working with a soldering iron, it's just gonna burn on there. So let's just get rid of it now. All right, so now that we've exposed the ribbon, so as you can see, whenever I was pressing it with the this wedge here, you probably saw some of the lines go in and out, and in some of my other videos you've also seen that I've worked on a few Game Boys already that that show kind of how to restore this. So look, if I push along this, you can see how some of them kind of come in and out. So we're just going to be doing that. So what ends up happening is the contacts along this ribbon, they're either loose or not making good contact. So all we're really going to be doing is reapplying that heat so that it can make that reestablish that contact. And once it cools off, it should stay on. And the way we test this afterwards is we simply just press along the edge again to see that everything is good. So let's go ahead and do that now. So you want to get your soldering tip and simply clean it. Now to restore it, like I said, I'm just going to put it at the darkest contrast. This makes it a lot easier. And we're going to go ahead and just simply touch along the ribbon. So it's going to be normally up here in this area. And so you can just apply some heat in these areas. You can go in like little circular motions along the ribbon. Once you've done this enough, just let it cool down a little bit. As you can see, some of them are already starting to come back. Now this is a really easy fix. Like if you're looking to buy a Game Boy that's probably in good cosmetic condition, you can use this to simply restore it, and you can probably get it for a few dollars if it's broken. I mean, it doesn't take long. You can honestly use like a $15 solder. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and continue working on this. So we're gonna let it cool down for a second. All right, so now we want to push along the ribbon. So this side that was stubborn looks good. Keep going, and it all looks good. All right, so I think that vertical line issue is fixed. We're gonna go ahead and put this little ribbon strip back on there. Now you've seen some of my previous videos, I just put super glue at the end here, just very little, enough to just, you know, keep it down. All right, so here I'm just gonna use some old wire that I have, and I'm just gonna use it to get some super glue, and then just kind of dab it on here on the sides or on the actual ribbon. In my case, I do it on the little rubber ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and show you, and then we'll apply it and put it here in place. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out and see if everything's looking good again. And we can see that it's actually staying steady. The vertical lines are gone, so I think this is actually fixed. It looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and put this back together. Make sure that this little notch here on the speaker is matching up with the little hole that's in here. So you put that first, and then you go ahead and put the motherboard back in. And there we go. So here, I like to hold it down. So let me move it down. So this is kind of how I'm holding it. But what you want to do is put one screw down just to kind of fasten it and hold it in place. We're going to go ahead and put the remainder of the screws, and these are the ones with the white circles. The only one that you don't put it in is this one, and I'll even say don't put a screw in there, so just don't put a screw in there and you'll be good. So let's put everything back together. All right, now that all the screws are back into place, we're just simply going to put this back together. Let me go ahead and zoom. All right, so let's test this out. And the contrast looks good. Is it holding? Yeah, it's not flickering any longer. The sound's good. And everything seems to be fixed on this one. So the only thing that is remaining, let me lower this down. So the only thing that's remaining is, I know in the beginning of the video I mentioned that I was gonna go ahead and clean this. I decided that due to how long it's gonna take, I reassembled everything. And I wanted to actually create a separate video to just focus on the yellowing and not all this other stuff. So please stay tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and release 2 videos this week. This one's just gonna show these repairs. I know I've been showing a lot of vertical lines. I think in the next one, I'm also just gonna probably go through a collection, just kind of gather them up and test them ahead of time, and then start working those vertical lines all in a group. That way I'm not just releasing vertical line fixes. I don't want to keep you guys bored on this one. It looked like there was a contrast wheel issue, so that was nice. But on this next one, I figured that it was just the yellowing of the case, and I figured it would be interesting to show that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that in a separate video and show it as a whole cleaning process, kind of what I do. And in the case you also want to restore that. So I do apologize if you watched this in the beginning and thought that I was going to do that. I'll go ahead and put a disclaimer. That way people that are looking for that are not waiting for that anywhere in the video. But I do appreciate you all that have been tuning in to watch my videos and see me kind of go through this whole repair process. I'm coming up close to 200 subscribers, and I just want to thank every one of you for supporting this channel so far. And I hope to see more comments, as I definitely enjoy reading them and answering back to you guys. If you have other questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. If you like this content, just drop a like and make sure to subscribe, as I'll be releasing more stuff. So like I said, in this week, I'll be releasing 2 videos. I'll go ahead and show the cleaning on this particular one since we already fixed it. And I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.